One woman presents her project, which is so reminiscent of insider trading, and for that reason Flood rejects it. He is called by his sister, who came in, but would not go into the conference. It turns out that he stole Thomas Newton's 10th patent and decided to sell it to other companies. Edie is angry with him and asks him to sign a severance agreement before he sells it. Hatch says that whatever the contents of the patent are, it will backfire on her. Meanwhile, Faraday gets very sick after he cures Josiah, Justin's father. The alien asks for water and then falls to the floor and spews out something black, so similar to Justin's father's cancer. He says that now they can go wherever they want. Josiah goes to the mirror in the morning and is glad he can shave. He tidies himself up and goes out to his daughter. Refreshed and healthy. This is true happiness, for Justin was already ready to lose him. Faraday has given them true happiness. Justin is concerned that there is a price to pay for everything. Josiah says there is no cause for concern. He will babysit his granddaughter Molly while Justin takes Faraday wherever he wants to go. He says she has to help the alien, and he doesn't want her to stay with him for a minute. Faraday, meanwhile, finds the records and Josiah puts one of them on. Josiah tidies up the alien, fixes his hair and gives him his costume. Now they are ready to go. Justin is very surprised at how he looks now. The woman drives him in the car and asks about his father. Faraday says that the man will be like that now until the end. Justin finds no words and simply thanks the alien for saving his father. She tries to figure out where they are going. Faraday says they have to bring Thomas Newton's 10th development to a conclusion, but the woman thinks it's impossible. Faraday asks them to stop the car. They go out to the speaker and the alien spews out something that should save the planet, but the thing is still imperfect, it is depleting. The 10th development will have to fix that and then the engine will be eternal. And all it feeds on is water, which is why Faraday is here. He's here for water, because the Earth will suffer the same fate. Spencer Clay, meanwhile, is exploring a crazy old man's cabin in Alaska. He finds a reel of film in which Thomas Newton is tortured and extracts the secret of the 10th development, after which he is blinded and scalped. Justin and Faraday continue their journey. The alien lies down in a pool and looks at the stars, which look very different on Earth than they do on his planet. The woman asks him about his home planet. Faraday says that when he was still a chrysalis, the lakes were already drying up, the fauna had become toxic, and the animals were dying. Now there are only a few thousand of them left. Justin asks about how many are left to humans themselves on this Earth. The alien says that by 2030 the temperature of the Earth will reach a critical point, and after that everything will start to fall like dominoes knuckles. The woman makes one condition. She keeps the scheme, becomes a scientist again, and saves the Earth. Faraday says he will leave her the blueprints. Newton says the alien will need to find a certain wizard. In the middle of the day, Justin and Faraday approach Hatch Flood's car. They find the wizard. Hatch Flood is shocked by Faraday's calculations, but more shocked by the word that Thomas Newton sent him. Hatch Flood freaks out and leaves, but Justin manages to tell him one last time where he and Faraday are staying. Spencer Clay meets with Drew and tells him about Thomas Newton. He guesses that the orange holds important blueprints about an energy source from another planet and tells him that a second alien has come to Earth. Spencer begs Drew for access to this operation and promises that he will catch the alien. Hatch Flood takes the papers out of the box and examines the contents. Everything is in hexadecimal coding symbols, so he goes to Justin and Faraday's hotel. Hatch Flood needs to find out who this Faraday is and how he knows about the symbols. Justin reveals to Hatch Flood the secret of the contents of the patent and he is shocked to find that the quantum engine is right under their noses. He imagines the economic consequences and wants to escape, but Faraday explains to him that humanity always lives in chaos, but it knows how to adapt, so don't be afraid of the consequences. Spencer Clay interrogates the girl who discovered the very signal that brought him to Alaska. Her name is Lisa Dominguez, and she knows too much. She even knows about Spencer Clay's shady dealings. This hooks him, and he gives her a lead on Thomas Newton. From then on, they become partners. Meanwhile, Hatch Flood tells the details of the case and his conflict with his sister, so they decide to go to London themselves, where the Orange office is actually located. They board a private plane, and Faraday's head begins to swell. Soon they arrive in London and go to a society party, after which they are to present their invention. Hatch begs his sister for permission to perform, and she agrees. Faraday gets up out of his seat in the middle of someone else's performance and rewrites someone else's formula, which the man has calculated incorrectly. The judges ask why he interrupted someone else's presentation, to which the alien replies that he has a prototype for quantum nuclear fusion. Everyone sees a huge bright light being emitted and how electric lights gradually fade in and out all over the city. Faraday turns to Justin and smiles. Justin has a nightmare with her lover. They play the piano together, after which his teeth come out of his mouth. The woman calls her father and complains about the nightmare. He restores her faith in herself and asks her to keep doing what she is doing. The woman notices that someone managed to catch a piece of Faraday on video and says goodbye to her father. The alien comes out of the shower completely naked and begins to criticize humanity for surrounding ourselves with a bunch of unnecessary garbage, and Thomas Newton was completely driven out of the world. What could have happened to him on Earth? The news is talking about a recent electrical incident that happened during Faraday's presentation, and Clive Flood tells himself that he realized something. He tells his mother Edie about quantum fusion and that he wants to run it because he's on the board. The woman agrees and asks him to call Hatch. Spencer Clay gets information from Lisa about Faraday. She shows him footage from the airport where he has been vomiting water for a very long time. Spencer is shocked by the information, and it only confirms in his mind the theory that Faraday is not from this solar system. Lisa finds one clue in the form of a maid and has already booked a plane for Spencer. Faraday's company itself arrives at Hatch's sister's house, and the alien looks around aloof while Hatch talks to the others to finally cooperate and gain access to the patent. Edie Flood tells his son to rattle Faraday and get more information out of him about who he is. The boy gets the alien interested in Thomas Newton's music, which he has. Spencer arrives at the rehab center to find out the whole truth about that maid. The man has to deliver a cow, after which he speaks to the woman, and the woman mistakes him for a sign from Thomas Newton. She embraces Spencer and seems ready to reveal secrets. Justin, meanwhile, tries to explain to the men that they should cooperate with them, but they simply refuse, and Edie is rude to the woman in general, reminding her of her job at the garbage dump. Justin gets dizzy, and the stress begins to awaken in her old demons and the remnants of a dream, the terrible images of her lover's death. She imagines that her own teeth are already falling out and, unable to bear the spectacle, she walks out of her seat. Justin discovers that Faraday is now with Clive Flood and goes after him. Spencer learns the woman's story and the story of how she met Thomas. The woman smears herself with bee honey and stands there while the bees run all over her. She is completely unprotected from their stings, but it is as if the bees do not want to sting her. Clive, meanwhile, shows Faraday around the room and gets him high on crack. The alien gets sick and finds some kind of balloon in Clive's pocket and slides it into the grooves. Some kind of music comes on, more like mumbling. Faraday deciphers a message that is too heavily veiled for everyone else. For a moment, Thomas Newton appears next to him in the mirror. The maid tells him that she broke Thomas's heart and he became attached to her and began drinking. Thomas himself appears before Faraday and tells him to tell his wife that he loves her. Faraday cries of his own free will for the first time. He feels hard for the pain Thomas Newton had to endure. Lisa reports to Spencer that Hatch Flood has rented a private plane for a trip to London. Lisa learns many details and learns about Justin and Faraday. The alien becomes too hurt. He cannot bear the pain for Thomas, for his tragedy, and he cries the most sincere tears, as if he has always been human. Justin says that this is what it means to be human. It's the pain, the tears, the ability to feel other people's emotions, to understand other people's feelings, even complete strangers. Faraday looks at the fallen tree and draws a parallel with Thomas. People did the same thing to him as they did to that tree. Hatch is visited by his sister and they talk about the past, after which the man accidentally blabs about the patent and Edie chases him away and asks her servant to call off all the people because the deal won't go through. The servant says that a stranger has come to see her and wants to talk. It is Spencer, who has come to insult her and remind her that Edie's father was only a janitor for a mediocre task. He was only running a company that benefited the CIA. Spencer says that the woman now belongs to him and asks him to make a deal with Faraday because he can do what he needs to do. Here he sees Justin himself with Faraday. At dinner, the whole truth comes out about Justin, who literally killed her lover during the experiment because she wanted to achieve fusion and she succeeded. Faraday hears this and demands that Justin not be removed from the case. Spencer approaches Faraday and gets to know him better. They shake hands and part ways. Hatch tries in vain to find out who this sudden Spencer is. A woman tells the truth about what happened to her lover. He got sick from the radiation, so his teeth and hair fell out. She keeps waiting for some kind of punishment and thought it was on her father. Faraday reassures her and tells her that progress, by its very nature, requires sacrifice. She has achieved a miracle by only sacrificing one life, for such an important step for all mankind. The alien says they can't move forward alone, so they will stick together and they will succeed.